Hello everybody and welcome back to Perfect Acceleration Sim Racing and welcome back to the Junior Saloon Car Championship official E-Series. We are here at Anglesey for round 6 of the championship, and if you've joined us throughout this season you will know what to expect. An action-packed night undoubtedly on the way. Myself, Jack Worrell, can't even say my own name this evening, joining you in the commentary box once again. Tom O'Farrell, our broadcast director from 2F Media Productions. We also have Mick Sutton, the man behind everything at Perfect Acceleration Sim Racing. Scott Thorne joins us back in the safety car as the race director and, of course, the safety car driver. And Craig Trawney, the clerk of the course. He had a fairly quiet night by the looks of things after the previous round. In terms of where we've been already this season, of course, we kicked off the season at Brands Hatch, the Indy circuit, round number 1. Round 2, we were at Cadwell Park, Castlecombe, right the way back into last year. So too was Thruxton. Then we came back after the winter break to the Snetterton 300 layout. Of course, we're here for round 6 on the Anglesey Coastal Circuit. And then we head to Alton Park for round number 7 and end of the season exactly where it started on the Brands Hatch Indy layout. And of course, at every single one of those rounds, you can score points, and points mean prizes. So the prizes are as follows. If you finish 3rd in the championship, you get an MSI 32-inch curved gaming monitor or £200 cash. I'd definitely be going for the monitor. If you finish 2nd overall in the championship, you get a Perfect Acceleration Sim Racing 3 Sim Rig. And the one that everyone's going for, if you are the outright champion, you get free entry into the Junior Saloon Car Championship Scholarship. So you can turn your sim racing career into what potentially could be the first sort of stepping stone into your real racing career. And every single round we pick a driver of the round. So far we've of course already had 5 of those. They are as follows, as when I can find the list of them. But you get yourself a free pair of sim racing gloves, and we've already, like I say, given out a few of those. They've already gone to Leo Bell, Lewis Stannard, Matt Guest, Carl Felvis, and Harley Connolly, all with a new pair of free UK sim racing gloves heading their way. In terms of the points, this is how the championship looks at the moment. Carl Felvis at the top end of affairs on 165 points. He had a brilliant round out at Snetterton last time. Closely followed throughout pretty much the entire evening by his teammate Nathan Williams on 157 points, only 8 points adrift of his championship rival. Jordan Taylor still well and truly in on the mix. A poor race 1 at Snetterton, unfortunately, more or less put him on the back foot for the rest of it. Sorry, that was Nathan Williams that had the poor round 1. Jordan Taylor won race 1 at Snetterton. Didn't quite finish where I think he would have liked to in race 2, meaning that he's now 15 points adrift of Carl Felvis on 150 points. It's Harley Connolly in 4th with Luke Sintler currently standing in 5th, and we've still got a lot of drivers tied for points. So Matt Guest and Leo Bell tied for 7th place in the championship on 114. A little bit further down the order, we've got Harry Dios and Olivia Kronoska tied for 15th in the championship, both on 59 points. And then you just look at some of the margins. If you look at the 3rd column in from the right, you can see the amount of single-digit numbers. That is how close. That's the difference between the driver and the driver above. That is how close the championship is at the moment, and it's only going to stay this close right the way up until the end of proceedings at the end of this season. So I'd imagine qualifying is very shortly getting underway, and by the looks of it, it already is. Yes, 6.5 minutes remaining of this qualifying session. If you haven't seen Anglesey before, you're in for a treat. I know it's a lot of the drivers' favourites from a spectating standpoint. You really can't beat it because you get beautiful views all over the Irish Sea, right the way along the coastline. You can see right out towards sort of Snowdon and that area as well. But whilst you're not being distracted by the surroundings, it is a brilliant race circuit, very flowing, very undulating, and quite a challenging circuit as well. Riding on board with Jordan Taylor as we go bouncing now down through the corkscrew and then into the bus stop. You've got to be careful of these track limits through here. I'm sure the clerk of the course will be watching on Craig this evening. Jordan Taylor crosses the line to put in his personal fastest lap time of the session. That was a 1 minute 24.734. Current pole time is being held by Nathan Williams, a 1 minute 24.460. Jordan Taylor now just weaving his way into turn 1, or what is in theory turn 2 at the banking, and then it's a quick burst down what is a short straight, and then a very, very quick right at Church. Quite a deceptive corner. It draws you in to turn in early. You can use the curb and the camber of that curb to hook the car in and fire the car now into what is in theory classed as a straight. It's just a very, very long right-hander before you then go back up the ascent. You can brake so late because you're going uphill into Rocket In, a blind left-hander, so you almost aim for the horizon, aim for the bollards that are just about visible over the crest, then into Rocket Out, a 180-degree right-hand hairpin, then it's back up the hill again, so yet more climbing before you arrive at the, again, quick right-hander at Peel. It draws you in early, but if you just about grab the apex, you can let the car wash wide, keep that momentum up, a little bit of traffic on the right-hand side to watch out for, bring the car back over to the right, set it up for the left, try and carry as much speed into corkscrew left, jump on the brakes, throw the car into the right, through corkscrew right, and then into the quick left at the bus stop, end of the lap. And back over the start-finish line, very wide there from Jordan Taylor. Not going to be an improvement this lap, unfortunately. Did set an overall fastest sector 3 that time through, however, so a very quick sector 3 just didn't quite come together, even with a little bit of traffic. Kyle Felvers, however, is on provisional pole position with a 1 minute 24.440, so he's just about managed, what, a quarter of a tenth of a second to clear one of his rivals in the championship, Nathan Williams. There is Leo Bell. He set a personal fastest sector 1, currently heading through the right-hander at Peel over the crest before we finally start to go back downhill in towards the corkscrew. You can see just the amount of elevation change there. So it's through the left at corkscrew 1, corkscrew 2, get the car slowed down, bounce over the curb, be careful on track limits on the exit, avoid pit entry, and then you can head towards the start-finish line. All the time he gained in sector 1, he's unfortunately given up in sector 2 towards the line. Do we see an improvement from Leo Bell? No, we don't, still with a lot of time to find, I think, for Leo Bell. Lewis Stannard just a little bit further down. I say a little bit further down, 1/1000th of a second that separates Leo Bell and Lewis Stannard. So a 1:25.172 for Leo Bell, a 1:25.173 for Lewis Stannard. That shows just how close the margins are. We do have Bertie Bream back with us, a 1 minute 25.935. He's only, what, 1/100th of a second ahead of Hayden Gray, who lines up behind him. So very, very close indeed. Just waiting to see if we've got anybody on a substantially quick lap. Again, Jordan Taylor last time through with the overall fastest sector 3, but couldn't quite do anything in terms of applying that to sectors 1 and 2. The sector 1 is becoming an ever busier place at the moment. It looks like with just over 2.5 minutes of the session remaining, everyone's going in just to try and maximise their qualifying position. Drivers further down than where we'd expect. Let's have a quick look. Harry Dios down in 16th at the moment. However, with personal fastest sector 1, personal fastest sector 2, we could see an improvement from Harry Dios this time. He has just about broken the beam. Do we see an improvement? Do we ever? Up into the provisional top 10 in qualifying, a 1 minute 25.246, finding how much of the curb he can use through the quick left at target. That's turn 1, bouncing over the curbs, lifting up the inside of the car as he again just allowed the car to wash wide, has given up a fair bit of time through the banking by the looks of that. Whether he's just going to slow the car down on this lap, find himself a bit of a margin, and then re-attack once again. Anybody else further down than we'd expect? Bertie Bream, of course, first round back, he had last round out. Matt Guest, he's in 11th, so 11th, we've seen him higher up, but of course that is still well and truly in the mix. Oscar Abratzese at the moment, he's sat there in 9th place, a continuous point scorer throughout this season. Albert Henriksen Bell, I think, stand out for me in this session, right the way up in 6th place, and he's slowly just been chipping away at that time, so we could see a good round on the way for Albert Henriksen Bell. And of course, we're following the standard layout as we have done throughout the first, 5 rounds of the season. So we get qualifying underway at the moment, and then we will get race 1 underway, so a 20-minute race at the end of qualifying. Of course, the grid's set by qualifying. Race 2, another 20-minute race, but with a full reverse grid. So anybody that finishes race 1 will get completely reversed from their finishing position. So if you finish last, what you will get is put on pole position. That will put you in pretty much the perfect place to pick up a good haul of points. But if you do unfortunately have to retire, you're not eligible for that reverse grid, and it means you will have to still start from the very back of the order. Bertie Bream has improved. Nathan Snaith, whoever the man we're looking at the moment, he's just working his way up towards Peel. He's a quarter of a second up on his personal fastest through sector 1. Sector 2, do we see an improvement? He will break the beam in just a few moments time, and we'll be able to confirm if he has or hasn't. So There goes Nathan Snaith, a big improvement, almost 6/10 up on his personal fastest lap. Comes through the final corner now. We could see him up in towards the top 10. So Nathan Snaith 16th at the moment. Only good enough for 14th with a 1 minute 25.650. However, on provisional pole position is Nathan Williams with a 1 minute 24.372, a very quick lap time at the end of the session, almost half a tenth clear now of Kyle Felvis, who's gone into the pit lane and will not get another lap in. So one of the people that Nathan Williams will have been watching out for into the pit lane. Matt Guest into the pit lane as well, so we won't see any further improvements from him. Coming through the final corner, we've got Hayden Gray. Do we see an improvement from Hayden? Currently sat P14. I don't think we did that time through. And we also have Olivia Kronoska. It doesn't look like it's going to be an improvement from herself on this lap. Into the pit lane goes the car behind as well. That looks like Jake Wardle into the pit lane. Olivia Kronoska, do we see an improvement? No, we don't, across the start-finish line to take the checkered flag. Hayden Gray just about squeezed another lap out of this session, so he does have the opportunity to better his qualifying position. Of course, Kyle Felvis in the pit lane will not improve. We'll have to keep an eye on Jordan Taylor to see if he can improve upon his current lap time. Lewis Stannard towards the line, currently sat P8, takes the checkered flag and still couldn't find that magical 1,000th of a second that he needs. And Luke Sintler, a big moment through the final corner, up in sector 1, up in sector 2. He could have potentially, looking at that lap time, found himself on the second row of the grid, because he's only 1,000th away from Jordan Taylor, or from Harley Connolly, pardon me, but unfortunately with a big mistake through the final corner, doesn't improve. Jordan Taylor into the pit lane as well. The last man that can swap around how the front of this order looks is Harley Connolly. However, almost half a second down in sector 1, almost half a second down in sector 2, unless he's pulled everything together and set a blisteringly quick sector 3. It isn't to be, unfortunately. So Nathan Williams picks up another pole position this season in the Junior Saloon Car Championship official E-Series. And what a lap posted at the very final stages of qualifying from Nathan Williams. A 1 minute 24.372 your pole time. Kyle Felvis, who will line up alongside, only 72 thousandths back, a 1 minute 24.444. Then we get one of the biggest margins in the order, almost 0.3 of a second back to Jordan Taylor. And it's Harley Connolly, only 37 thousandths. We've got a couple of drivers only separated by 1 singular thousandth of a second. But joining me in the commentary box once again, after picking up another pole position, Nathan Williams. So Nathan, it's somewhat of a unique circuit, almost harking back to Cadwell Park. Lots of undulation, but very quick indeed, and a couple of blind corners as well. How are you finding it?
Yeah, it's a very tricky circuit. Obviously, there's lots of undulation, like you said, and going up the hill, it's really easy to lock up these cars. And then going down the hill, there's also a massive bump on the outside of the penultimate corner, which can obviously cause you to lose the car. So it's a very tricky circuit to get around.
And of course, we've seen some quite substantial pole margins. We've seen them sort of 2, 3, 4 tenths of a second. This evening, it's only 72 thousandths. And then if you look sort of from first right the way down to 10th, probably more than that, they're not even separated by a second at the moment. So you've got sort of 10 or 12 cars all within a second of each other. It seems like those rear view mirrors are going to be busy this evening.
Yeah, obviously, I think it would have been a short circuit, and I think it is quite difficult to gain time. I think obviously it will be a lot about defending, which I think is quite helped by being a tight track. It's quite hard to get past if you know how to defend well. So yeah, I think it's just about defending and, like you said, watching the mirrors.
Yeah, and only 8 points back from Kyle in the championship. Was that sort of a bit of an indicator to yourself that you need to you need to really start closing that gap as we enter the final few rounds of the season? And whilst 8 points isn't a monumental amount, if you can pick up these extra points for sort of pole position and put yourself in a good position for race 1 and see what race 2 leads, was that the plan? Is the championship something you massively think about going into an evening, or is it more just keep your head clear, go out and drive around as fast as you can?
I think obviously the championship is something you definitely think about. So I think 8 points back, it's a bit, but it's not too much. The main thing is about Kyle hasn't had any bad results yet, so he's got 2 drop scores that he can take if he has a bad result, whereas I've had 2 bad races. Obviously one was a disconnect last weekend, which means that I have to be much more careful than he does.
Yeah, so definitely something to bear in mind. Well, congratulations on pole position. That's sort of half the job done. Best of luck for race 1. Hopefully we get to speak to you again at some point this evening.
Thank you.
Brilliant. Cheers, Nathan. So quick chat there with our pole sitter, Nathan Williams. And we will be able to bring the grid to you now, I believe. So we'll wait and we'll wait and see as and when we can get that. It looks like now the session has just about ticked over, and we will be able to get the grid to you once everybody is, of course, lined up on their drivers to watch this evening. Naturally, it has to be anybody within that top 10. Anybody outside of the top 10, keep an eye on Matt Guest. Keep an eye on Nathan Snaith. It looked like he'd unlocked some pace quite late on in the day throughout qualifying. Him and Hayden Gray really aren't too far away, 300ths of a second separating those two in qualifying. So here is the grid and how they will line up this evening. On pole position, we just had a chat to him, Nathan Williams on a 1 minute 24.372. Alongside him is the first of the HFT racing cars, Kyle Felvers. Row 2 of the grid is the second of the HFT cars, that's Jordan Taylor. He will line up alongside On Par Racing's Harley Connolly. Row 3 of the grid is Luke Sintler and Albert Henriksen Bell. Then we get back to Leo Bell and Lewis Stannard starting 7th and 8th, only at 1,000ths of a second separating the pair of those two. Oscar Abertsazy lines up in 9th place with Harry Dios lining up in 10th. Row 6 of the grid is Matt Guest and Jake Wardle. Jake Wardle will be looking for a competitive night this evening. He struggled at a few of the previous rounds. Nathan Snaith lines up in 13th. He has Hayden Gray alongside. And on to what is row number 8 of the grid. Nathan Jensen has Bertie Bream for company. And then on the very back row of the grid, we have Olivia Kronoska and Oliver Newton. Again, those two separated by one of the biggest margins on the grid. That was 1.8 seconds. Ollie Newton struggling to get the car together throughout qualifying. And of course, there is Scott Thorne in the JSCC, officially it's the eSeries PASR BMW M2 safety car. Hopefully, we don't see any safety car interventions this evening. If we do have one, of course, Scott Thorne is ready and waiting, and we'll take this time as well just before the race gets underway. That Perfect Acceleration Sim Racing does have an announcement to make in regards to an upcoming series after the sort of following on from the Junior Saloon Car Championship. So if you would like to learn a bit more about that, stick around until the end of this evening, where we can bring all of the information to you regarding that new series. And it will be great to see some returning drivers from the Junior Saloon Car Championship, of course the Ginetta Championship as well. But also, if you're watching along at home and you fancy a go, by all means, please do stick around till the end, get all the information you need. And when the sign-ups are open, make sure you plug in your details and we'll be able to get you out on the grid. So we've just got to wait for the counter to reach 0. We've still got around about 20-25 seconds until we'll be able to go racing for the first time this evening. We will have Nathan Williams sat there on pole position, so he will have the inside for turn 1. If he doesn't nail the start, that will be the outside for turn 2, but the 6 lights have come up on the screen, so in a few moments time they will illuminate red, which they do now. So 3, 4, 5, 6 red lights, and the first race here at Anglesey is underway, and it's an okay start from pole sitter Nathan Williams. It seemed fairly equally matched by Kyle Felbus. Jordan Taylor got a good start as well. The best of the starters, I'd say, was a little bit further back. Bertie Bream seemed to get a good start. There is Jake Wardle. He still sat mid-pack in 12th place, but Nathan Williams has managed to build enough of a gap just to stop any overlap between the two HFT cars. Jordan Taylor and Kyle Felbus remain in the order that they were. No Kyle Felbus, unfortunately, he's dropped down to 3rd, didn't get the best start. And the first phase of the start went his way. The second phase really didn't. Lots of chopping and changing further down. Harley Connolly and Albert Henriksen Bell swapping around. Oscar Abertsazy and Harry Dios. So too have Nathan Snaith and Olivia Kronoska. Olivia Kronoska has lost another place, unfortunately, to Ollie Newton. That's not quite gone her way in the early stages of this race. Nathan Snaith picking up another place up into 15th. Harry Dios has just demoted Luke Sintler onto the cusp of the top 10, but the fields fly up towards Rocketing for the first time. Last of the late breakers. That's very, very late on the brakes, and contact further back. That will be a spin for Lewis Stannard. I'm not sure he made contact with him. I don't know whether it was Luke Sintler, and the crash is still going on. Jay Wardle's involved, so too is Oscar Abertsazy. Lewis Stannard, Jake Wardle, Oscar Abertsazy are the 3 drivers caught up in that one. Luke Sintler firing up the inside is Harry Dios. They couldn't quite make it work without any sort of contact. By the looks of it, we are going to stay green this time. Still side by side is Harry Dios and Luke Sintler. Luke Sintler on the inside, and we have had a change for the lead. Maybe a mistake there from Nathan Williams. So Jordan Taylor into the lead of the race. He comes towards the line to tick lap number 1 in the book. Nathan Williams under pressure now from losing what is 2nd place because Kyle Felbus on the inside. A little bit of door-to-door contact that just washes Nathan Williams wide, but there's still a bit of an overlap by the looks of it heading in towards the banking. He's got to go the long way round as Kyle Felbus can't quite find the grip in the car. The nose is cut off by Jordan Taylor. Kyle Felbus now looking for the cutback as we head up through a small rise towards Church Corner. It's a very quick right-hander, and then you're flat to the boards right the way up towards Rocket Inn. Harley Connolly now trying to edge out Nathan Williams. So Nathan Williams has gone from the lead now into what could potentially be 4th place, depending on how good Harley is on the brakes. Of course, Harley will be on the outside for Rocket In. It will be the inside for Rocket Out. So if he can just about find the grip on the outside, it will work for him. Very, very late on the brakes. Can he get it tucked in? Not quite this time. Nathan Williams was just as late on the brakes as well. He's trying to fight back at Kyle Felvers, but now look back at Harley Connolly. He's managed to edge his way up the inside. Nathan Williams washes wide. That allows Albert Henriksen Bell to sneak his way up through the inside. Nathan Williams is now looking up the inside as well. Or Leo Bell, pardon me. So Nathan Williams has gone from leading the race almost down into 6th place, still side by side with Leo Bell, but just about manages to fend off any further attack. Whilst all that is going on, Jordan Taylor, none the wiser at the front end of affairs, a second clear of his HFT Racing teammate Kyle Felvers. Leo Bell with a big mistake heading down through the corkscrew and in towards the bus stop. That's dropped him away from Nathan Williams, so Nathan can now focus forward and try and run away. Olivia Kronoska tapped there by, I think that was Ollie Newton. Whether that was a small mistake from Olivia, which sort of bled off the speed, or Ollie Newton just didn't quite expect to carry that much speed through the corkscrew. That meant that Olivia Kronoska spun through 180 degrees. Lewis Stannard has managed to pick off Oliver Newton. Nathan Jensen has picked the pocket of Matt Guest in the final spot in the top 8, and they're still swapping round. There is Matt Guest now, and they're absolutely side by side. Matt Guest on the outside loses out to Nathan Jensen, loses out to Luke Sintler, ever the optimist. He's trying to make up for, I think, a mistake early on in the race. He's dropped a little bit down the order, but now trying to fight his way back up. Jordan Taylor still leading at the front end of affairs, and can't really see too much apart from specks in the rearview mirror at this stage of the race. Matt Guest had a brilliant view there, but Nathan Williams is already fighting his way back up towards the podium places, back into 3rd. He's not only got past Albert Henriksen Bell, he's got past Harley Connolly, and he's now going to chase down Kyle Felvers. There is Harley Connolly and Albert Henriksen Bell at the inside. Leo Bell, having fought back after a mistake earlier on, he could potentially end up in 4th place at the moment, but decides discretion the better part of valour this time through, and just bides his time. He knows it's still, what, 15 and a half minutes of this race still to go, plus another 20-minute race on the way. Harley Connolly sat there in 4th place. He's got to think about defence, because Albert Henriksen Bell not too far away at all. Leo Bell ushering him on as well. We're seeing lots of personal fastest laps. The lead margin still just about floating around a second between Jordan Taylor and Kyle Felvers. Nathan Williams 2 seconds back, so he's got a lot of driving to do if he wants to catch up those lead 2. Going off how close they were in qualifying, it's going to be a very tricky job. Kyle Felvers still taking time out of Jordan Taylor at the moment. Now only 8 tenths away is Kyle Felvers, so chasing down his teammate, chasing him down for the lead. Harley Connolly, best of the rest at the moment in 4th, has just about escaped too much, or it's just about escaped enough from Albert Henriksen Bell. He doesn't need to worry about going defensive in towards the braking zone, but was so late on the brakes is Albert Henriksen Bell. Just about gets it slowed down in time and just about holds on to that position, but now he's under intense pressure from Leo Bell as we head back up towards the quick right at Peel. If these two keep battling the way they are, Harry Dialson, Nathan Jensen and Luke Sintler, and just about Matt Guest, they're all waiting in the wings to take part in this battle as well. We could see 6 cars all fighting over the final spot in the top 5 at the moment. The lead gap's still just floating around about 8 tenths of a second. So for the moment, Jordan Taylor isn't doing too bad up at the head of affairs with, don't know whether that was the fastest lap of the race last time through. Let's have a look. So his best lap this race is a 1:24.872. The fastest lap of the race, in fact, is going the way of his teammate Kyle Felvers on a 1:24.807. So he is currently the fastest man out on the circuit. Just having a little look further down to see if we've got any really close battles. We do a little bit further back by the looks of that. Is that? Yes, it is. That is Matt Guest at the tail end of what is pretty much this battle at this point. He's slowly starting to apply that pressure onto Hayden Gray. There's not too much between them. Only, what, 3 tenths of a second. I was expecting them to get closer as I was looking, but then up the road you can see we're almost side by side, and just a bit of defensive driving from Luke Sintler, not wanting to give up too much. Neither is Nathan Jensen, but I think he did on the brakes up towards Rocket, back nose to tail once again. You can see in the rearview mirror Nathan Snaith slowly starting to bear down on Matt Guest. If they do continue to battle, you can see cars queuing up in the background, getting ready to make the most of that. There is Nathan Jensen for RS Motorsport, just about keeping the car in between the white lines. He's got Luke Sintler charging on behind, really starting to apply that pressure. They've almost forgotten about Harry Dios up the road. Having got through, Harry is just now trying to escape and assert himself up towards Leo Bell. A late look up the inside that time from Luke Sintler didn't quite work for him. Fastest lap of the race goes the way of Kyle Felbus once again, that time through with a 1 minute 24.800. So a small improvement from the fastest lap that he already had. Nathan Jensen in towards the banking, still has Luke Sintler all over his tail. Hayden Gray still under pressure now from Matt Guest in the background. And what did I say? Nathan Snaith, who's well and truly there, well and truly within touching distance. Kyle Felbus continuing to take time out of Jordan Taylor, 7/10 the gap. Nathan Williams is closed down by a 10th as well. There is Jake Wardle. He's looking at the inside of Oscar Abruzzese. So as we approach Church Corner, a very quick right-hander. Jake Wardle does indeed pick up that place, but Oscar Abruzzese looking back up the inside. There's not too much in the way of aerodynamic assistance, as we heard from the drivers in these cars. However, up towards Rocket, we know how crucial being late on the brakes is. Nathan Jensen still under pressure from Luke Sintler, but I think Luke is now preoccupied with Hayden Gray and Matt Guest. Very wide goes Luke Sintler. That might just about cost him a position. No, not this time. It's cost him a bit of momentum, but he's still all over the tail of Nathan Jensen. This is the battle for the final few spots in the top 10. Riding on board now with Luke Sintler, you can see just a bit more of the circuit being used by Nathan Jensen. That massively opens up the entry, so potentially maximises the exit as well. They can still see Harry Dios up the road, but a big mistake from Nathan Jensen. Bounced over the grass after running wide, maybe going slightly too deep into corkscrew in. I did think he went rather quick in, and Luke Sintler has indeed picked up 8th place. Nathan Jensen down into 9th for the moment, because Hayden Gray is trying to look around the outside, can't quite find the space there. Matt Guest will now look to the outside of the both of them, trying to find the grip. Up the inside goes Hayden Gray, so Hayden Gray up into 9th place, still side by side with Nathan Jensen. It's a dead heat as they go through the exit of sector 2, go through the exit of turn 2, approaching turn 3, and there's a bit more contact between the pair of them. Just a little wobble there from Nathan Jensen. Hayden Gray still just can't find enough to work his way through and past Nathan Jensen, so Hayden Gray still pushing on. Matt Guest has got the best seats in the house, but he needs to worry about the car behind because he has Nathan Snaith with him now. Hayden Gray up the inside, late on the brakes, isn't going to get the car slowed down, so Nathan Jensen remains in 9th place. Matt Guest picks up what is 10th, and Hayden Gray, is he going to hold on to 11th? Potentially so just at the moment, because Nathan Snaith really isn't too far away, but that mistake has now dropped everybody back, and Bertie Bream has entered the fold, so he's not too far away from picking up another couple of places. The lead gap has come down to within half a second now, so Jordan Taylor losing time overall because Nathan Williams has closed down by another half a second. However, he is posting 1 minute 24, so by far and away the quickest driver out on circuit at the moment. Everybody else around him posting 25s. The only driver that time through, in fact, to post a 1 minute 24, on 24.749 for Nathan Williams. Put Bertie Breen back across the line to take another lap in the book. Kyle Felbus with a quick flash of the lights, now within 3/10 of Jordan Taylor. Whether it was a mistake for Jordan, I don't know, but he's dropped right back into the clutches of his HFT Racing teammate, and if they hold each other up too much, Nathan Williams has already taken, a full second out of the race leaders, and will continue to do so over the next 9 minutes if they remain as they are. So an unfaltered race needs to go the way of Jordan Taylor from now on, and hopefully bring Kyle Felbus with him. Of course, Kyle leading the championship coming into this round, followed then by Nathan Williams and Jordan Taylor, so they just can't afford to trip over each other here at Anglesey. Not this close to the season, but of course Nathan Williams is looking at the drop rounds, and he's bearing that in mind just to make sure he doesn't risk it too much. We are hearing sort of little bits from Kyle, and there's a chance that he might not be able to attend next week, so I don't know whether this is Jordan Taylor just thinking about assisting his teammate Kyle, mitigating what could be quite a hefty whack to his championship aspirations. But of course, that's exactly what teammates are for. So Nathan Williams has, of course, already got a little bit of a handicap already, having used his drop rounds. So he's got to be so careful. Harry Dios dropping down the order, and that's why he's spun through 180 degrees on the exit of the final corner and right the way down into 14th place from what was, I think, 5th or maybe 6th at that stage. So an unlucky mistake from Harry Dios, meaning that drops him right the way down the order, and you will just see him hemorrhaging points. Points scored in race 1, pardon me. So Jordan Taylor still just about leading the way by only, what, 0.2 of a second from his HFT teammate Kyle Felvers. Nathan Williams not too far away. He will be getting bigger in the rearview mirror of Kyle Felvers, and that will slowly start to play a part in this race, I think, with 7.5 minutes remaining. It'll be the longest 7.5 minutes, I think, of Jordan Taylor's life, because the last thing he wants to do is hold up his teammate, but of course he still wants to score those big points at the head of affairs. Nathan Williams 1.6 back from Kyle Felvers at the moment, so maybe a small mistake through Rocket Out. Through the corkscrew we go once again, then into the bus stop. Closest cars we've got on circuit, I think, are Nathan Jensen and Matt Guest. They're only separated by a couple of tenths. There's very, very little to pick between those two. Flash of the lights again from Kyle Felvers, just communicating whatever they may have in mind. I'm sure they've spoken about it, just to say how maybe there's a number of flashes per message, whether that be carry on, speed up, slow down, whatever it may be. But Nathan Williams is getting closer, only, what, 1.2 seconds separating Nathan Williams from the second step of the podium. At this point, back across the line, we're still seeing the mid-pack continuing to better their personal fastest laps. Oscar Abetsazi has picked off Jake Wardle for 15th place. So those two have swapped positions through the final corner. Through turn 1 they will go, and Oscar Abetsazi already starting, I think, just to put a bit of breathing room between himself and the car behind. There is Matt Guest and Nathan Jensen. We mentioned them just earlier on. Hayden Gray watching on in the wings, waiting, I think, for maybe the mistake or the battle to commence. You can see there's, what, 2 trios there. So the first one is made up of Nathan Jensen, Matt Guest and Hayden Gray. Then it is Bertie Bream, Nathan Lewis Stannard. Of course, Lewis Stannard, after being caught out in an early race incident, is just fighting his way back up through the order. I'm guessing he's going for what, sort of a mid-pack finish. Still gets some good points from race 1, but doesn't hang him out to dry for race 2. Up the road is Luke Sintler. He's just trying to run away with this one. Lights ablaze, communicating to the cars up the road that he is he's there to close that gap and pick up the places. Nathan Williams now within a second of Jordan Taylor, so the HFT racing teammates almost costing each other time at this point. Back across the line they will go, and both post 1 minute 25s. A 1:25.4 for Jordan Taylor, 1:25.3 for Kyle Felvers, a 1:24.8 for Nathan Williams. So half a second gained for Nathan Williams there. He's well within a second now, 3/4 of a second away from fighting for the pretty much how the podium will shape up at this point. There's very little between Nathan Williams and potentially another step on the podium. 5 minutes of the race remaining. Albert Henriksen Bell running a fairly quiet race. He's 1.5 seconds away from Harley Connolly in 4th place. Leo Bell 4.5 seconds away from Albert Henriksen Bell and 2 seconds clear of Luke Sintler. So he's running around on his own at this point. But the HFT cars nose to tail, concertinaing up, I think, a little bit, meaning that Nathan Williams is only going to get closer. He seems to struggle through sector 2, does Nathan? You see the gap come back out, but it all comes back together again as we exit sector 3 and take another lap in the book in a few moments' time. So down through the corkscrew we will go once again. Watch the time on the left-hand side of your screen going up for the moment, but it usually lap on lap. Nathan Williams, this is where he started to close that gap. We saw him get closer and closer and closer, and it did the same very briefly. It's slowly starting to level out. Yeah, a slightly slower lap from Nathan Williams that time. He's into the 1 minute 25s now and joining everybody else in the 1:25 club. Kyle Felvers still sat there in second place. A little look up the inside, so maybe getting slightly impatient. He can see firsthand how close Nathan Williams is getting, and we'll be counting down the minutes till the end of the race, and we'll just be bearing in mind that there's a chance he may not attend next week. So of course he needs to bag as many points as possible in both race 1 and race 2 this evening. So Kyle Felvers still flashing those lights, just, I think, trying to communicate to Jordan Taylor, whether that be let me by or let's just continue to work together. Whatever it is, I'm sure he's getting impatient, because Nathan Williams' yellow and black Citroen Saxo is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and a more imminent threat, I think, for the podium. And there we see the change. Kyle Felvers up the inside. Jordan Taylor just rolls the car to the outside of the circuit and now will play rear gunner unless he's going to fight back. No, just covering off that inside, is he? No, he's not covering off the inside. He's going for the inside. This is the last thing that they needed to do. They're still side by side. They've cost each other a little bit of time now. Kyle Felvers will be on the inside, and I'd imagine inherit the lead, which he does. But as the door was left open, Nathan Williams dived up the inside, tried to get the door open from Jordan Taylor. It didn't work for him. Contact was made. Nathan Williams spun through 90 degrees. It killed his momentum, and he went from potentially gaining a place to losing one. So Harley Connolly is now up into third place. Nathan Williams frustrated, I'm sure, in fourth, not too far away from Albert Henriksen Bell. 2.5 minutes of the race remaining. Matt Guest is still applying the pressure on Nathan Jensen. So across the line, those two will go. This is for how the final spot in the top 8 will shape up, but Matt Guest has been there or thereabouts throughout this entire race. I'm sure he's bored of looking at the back of Nathan Jensen's car now, and will try absolutely everything in the book to work his way through and past the number 34 machine just up the road. Hayden Gray still there or thereabouts. He's just getting closer and closer and closer. Bertie Bream waiting in the wings as well. So there's a couple of cars behind that I'm sure would jump at the opportunity of picking up an extra couple of places. But Matt Guest, he's got all the work to do with just under 2 minutes of the session remaining. And we're lapping in the 1 minute 24s. I think we could just about squeeze 2 more laps out of this one, depending on when Kyle Felvers will cross the line. Matt Guest, this time, he looked to the outside. He forced Nathan Jensen defensive. He then looked for the cutback, and I think he will have to do the same here through Rocket Out, because he dives to the outside, then back to the inside, gets a good run on the exit of Rocket. However, Nathan Jensen going defensive as we go back up the hill towards Peel. It's still the outside gifted to Matt Guest. He can't quite find the grip out there. This battling will mean that they fall back into the clutches of Hayden Gray. Kyle Felvers crossed the line. It's going to be touch and go whether we're going to get another lap. It will be very, very tight indeed. Bearing in mind we're slowly dropping even further into the 1 minute 25s. All we were, because Nathan Williams back into the 1 minute 24s. So he's been ushered on by that contact earlier on. Bertie Bream, it was looking so good for Bertie. He was climbing his way up through the order, but unfortunately on the exit of the corkscrew, it looks like that car is destined for retirement, and I don't think he'll even be able to take the checkered flag at the end of this race with, what, 50 seconds remaining. So Kyle Felvers, having got into the lead, remains where he is, still being trailed by his HFT Racing teammate Jordan Taylor by around about 0.7 of a second. Then he's 4.5 back to Harley Connolly, who's under ever more pressure now from Nathan Williams. It was around about a second just a couple of laps ago, but Nathan Williams has really turned up the tempo, and he's trying to fight his way desperately back onto the podium. Harley Connolly will be begging for this to be the final lap. Nathan Williams will be begging for this to be the penultimate lap. We will see what it is as Kyle Felvers comes towards the line, and wait to see if the checkered flag is going to be readied and waiting for the approaching HFT cars. They might just about pick up another 1-2 here. Of course, we still have Bertie Bream, Bertie Bream's retired car on the left-hand side of shot. And with 2 seconds, 1 second, it will be the checkered flag waiting for Kyle Felvers. So he crosses the line to pick up another win and max points in race 1. Jordan Taylor crosses the line to finish in second. Who will it be for third? It will be Harley Connolly in the number 12 on-par racing machine, picking up the third and final spot on the podium. Nathan Williams crossed the line in fourth. A good comeback drive from him, not deterred by the incident. Albert Henriksen Bell finished in fifth, followed then by Leo Bell and Luke Sintler. Nathan Jensen does manage to get the better of Matt Guest towards the line. Hayden Gray, what could have been in 10th. Louis Stannard finished in 11th, and Nathan Snaith in 12th. Harry Dios, after an unfortunate mistake heading through the final corner a few laps ago, he will cross the line and finish in 13th, and it's Oscar Abruzzese in 14th. Jake Wardle, he was in the wars throughout the race, finishing in 15th. Olivia Kronoska will finish in 16th place, and Ollie Newton, whether he's had a trip to the pit lane or a trip to the track externals, I don't know. He will be the final of our 17 finishers in that number 29 machine, flicking the car into corkscrew in, through the tight right at corkscrew out, then through the bus stop and towards the checkered flag. For the first time this evening goes Oliver Newton, 27 seconds back, unfortunately for Ollie, but of course that means he will inherit reverse grid pole position, so all eyes on you, Mr. Newton, to see what you can do from reverse grid pole position. Bertie Bream, unfortunately, our one and only retirement in that race. It's such a shame, as he was running very, very consistently as well throughout that. But Kyle Felvers picks up another win and picks up yet more points in the Junior Saloon Car Championship official E-Series, joined on the podium by his HFT Racing teammate Jordan Taylor. And Harley Connolly, whether he saw it coming, he managed to pick up third place. So what we'll do is we'll bring them in that order. Harley Connolly, you picked up third place, whether you knew it was going to happen or not. Sort of contact up the road meant that Nathan Williams just washed wide, and you jumped at the opportunity, dived up the inside, and managed to pick up the final step on the podium. That's got to be a nice little present, I think, coming towards the end of race one.
Yeah, it's good to have. I didn't expect it, of course, with Nathan being miles quicker than me, and of them to be sort of being quite far ahead. But Nathan spat out or got hit, I'm not sure, and then I just had to keep him behind. And I reckon one more lap he might have had me, but I luckily kept him behind me and kept P3, so I'm happy with that.
Yeah, we knew it was going to be fairly touch and go as Kyle and Jordan crossed the line heading on to the final lap, and we said at the time you'll be begging for this lap to be the final lap, just with how close Nathan was. But you managed to fend him off, and of course, whilst it means an extra couple of points and another podium goes your way in race one, race two it means you're starting behind Nathan, but that could potentially play into your hands. Are you just going to try and stick with him and follow him through traffic and then see how the race plays out from there?
Well, I'm hoping I'll overtake him at the start, but if not, then I will just follow him through and hopefully get to the front with him and Jordan and Kyle. So we'll just have to see how it plays out. I know I normally have a better off the line start than Nathan, but he's obviously a bit quicker than me in the car, so we'll see how it plays out.
Good stuff. All will be revealed, I think, in a few moments' time. So congratulations for your results in race one, and hopefully we get to speak to you again at the end of race two.
Cheers.
Cheers, Harley. So we'll move now onto Jordan. You seem to have a fairly busy race because you had Kyle in your rearview mirror flashing his lights and occasionally just showing a nose up the inside. Was that sort of planned between you to try and swap positions there, or was that Kyle just throwing the car to the inside? And were you expecting to battle again, having just swapped positions? Because I think that's when Nathan really started to close the gap.
Kyle was faster in the second half of that race. You could see it clear as day. I'll accept that. So I think he was flashing me, for me to like let him pass and we'll work together and just collect the points, because we're at the tail end of the season. We just need the points now, and because it's so close between me, Nathan, and Kyle, we don't want to take each other out and lose more points when we can just swap and still get high points.
Yeah, and of course that means another podium and another good haul of points for the pair of you and HFT Racing. And of course the championship, like you say, is becoming sort of an overarching focus for everybody in the championship. Anglesey coming into it, was it a circuit you were looking forward to, one that maybe you were hoping just to get out of the way, or has your thoughts changed after race one?
I mean, Anglesey is the only layout I've actually ever done is the
I think we've lost you there very briefly.
Jordan. I'm back.
We've got you back. Yeah, it's just.
Right, I've only ever done. I've only ever done GP, and I enjoy that layout. So when I looked at the track map, it looked like a tight technical track, a mix of like a Cadwell and a Coombe. So I had high expectations for it to be a good close track, and it's certainly done that. So I hope we do more championships on this layout because it's a good flowing technical track which I enjoy personally.
Good stuff. Well, it's great to hear, and great to hear that you still sound confident as well after race one. So best of luck for race two. We'll have to move quickly on to Kyle. Only got time for pretty much one question, as race two is very shortly getting underway. Good haul of points, a little bit of a battle with your teammate, but of course it means you're starting from the very tail end of the order, hoping for a similar performance this time.
Yeah, definitely. I think that race was great. I think the battle with Jordan was fantastic, and at the end of the day that move was always on, so had to take it, and that's what got me the win. So yeah, it was a great race.
Oh, great stuff. It was very, very entertaining to watch. Hopefully you can treat us to some more battles like that in race two, but you're very shortly going to be getting underway, so I'll leave you to it.
Thank you.
Brilliant. Cheers, Kyle. So of course the grid will be the full reverse of the results from race one. So it's going to be usually the busier race is race two, because of course you've got the drivers that did better in race one at the very tail end of the order, and of course they want to follow up a good result in race one with another good result in race 2. So it means that Ollie Newton will be lining up on pole position with Olivia Kronoska alongside. Then it will be Jake Wardle and Oscar Abruzzi, Harry Dias and Nathan Snaith, Lewis Stannard and Hayden Gray, Matt Guest, Nathan Jensen, Luke Sintler and Leo Bell. Then it's Albert Henriksen Bell and Nathan Williams. Then it's Harley Connolly and Jordan Taylor, and all on his own on the very back row of the grid is Kyle Felvis. Actually, no, he's not, because Kyle Felvis, of course, winner of race 1, does have retiree from race 1, Bertie Bream, alongside. So we could see a good result from Bertie here, even with a retirement in race 1. He's got some quick drivers in front of him, and if he can stick with them, we may see Bertie come through the order and pick his way through into a very good finishing position at the latter stages of race 2. So with around about 20 seconds still to go, what can Olivia do from pole, or with what can Ollie Newton do from pole position? Can he get a good start and potentially remain in the lead? A flash of the lights, but as the red lights come on for the final time this evening here at Anglesey, the Junior Saloon Car Championship official E-Series is underway. A poor start from Ollie Newton initially. The second phase comes back his way. A brilliant start further back. I think that was from Matt Guest, who managed to get the jump on everybody else. No, it was Nathan Jensen, so Nathan Jensen gets a good start. He is now alongside Matt Guest. It was a good start made by Jordan Taylor. He's already trying to pick off Hayden Gray, which he has done. Oscar Abruzzi picked up a place as well. It gets very, very congested as we work our way through the banking. A little bit of contact. Somebody sideways in the middle of the order, and somebody spat out. That, unfortunately, is Harry Dias, and further contact. Jake Wardle is involved. So too is Nathan Snaith. Lewis Stannard is involved. Bertie Bream, I think, just about managed to pick his way through. That means that Jordan Taylor has found himself in 9th place. Kyle Felvis, of all people, is right the way up into 7th already. Whereabouts is Nathan Williams? He's in 11th, so maybe not the best start from Nathan Williams. I can only assume he was caught up in that little accident there. Oscar Abruzzi has managed to pick up 2nd place at the moment. Olivia Kronoska still sat there in 3rd. Ollie Newton will try and leave everybody else behind and run away into the lead. A big wobble there from Olivia Kronoska. Luke Sintler trying to pick up a place and work his way into the provisional podium places, but they will be aware that Kyle Felvis is in 7th and closing from pretty much the very back row of the grid. So Luke Sintler now looking up the inside, forcing the door open. Olivia Kronoska spins. Does she? No, she doesn't. Very, very well held, Olivia. She just about managed to keep the car pointing the right way. So Oscar Abruzzi is now in the lead of the race, ahead of Ollie Newton. So maybe a mistake from Ollie Newton means that Oscar is into the lead. Luke Sintler does indeed pick up 3rd place. Then it's Matt Guest and Leo Bell riding on board with Jordan Taylor now. He's trying to fight his way up the inside of his HFT teammate Kyle Felvis as we work our way through turn 1, now up towards turn 2. 2 cars side by side. That's Matt Guest and Leo Bell fighting away. Kyle Felvis still side by side, trying to get the better of Jordan Taylor this time. Jordan Taylor just dips the car over the curb. That might compromise his exit slightly and lose him a little bit of momentum whilst all this is going on. Oscar Abruzzi is trying to run away at the front end of the order. For the moment, Jordan Taylor just about holding on to what is 7th place, despite his best attempts to make it 6th. Doesn't quite work. Ollie Newton, whether he's got a problem in that car, I don't know, but he's very, very slow up the straight and doesn't seem like he's getting full power. Kyle Felvis up into 5th place and Jordan Taylor into the back of Oliver Newton. That means that everybody comes together, and that is Leo Bell that got tagged. Kyle Felvis involved. He's trying to work his way back onto the order. It doesn't quite work. Olivia Kronoska forced sideways, so after all of that, Jordan Taylor ends up in what is 4th place. Nathan Williams carves his way through to finish in 5th, to end up in 5th place. Matt Guest is somehow now in 4th. That is because Nathan Williams and Jordan Taylor side by side, clashing doors 4 wide down in towards the corkscrew. Absolutely equal as they work their way down the hill. Jordan Taylor still trying to carve his way through, yet further contact and into the tyre wall. Unfortunately for Jordan Taylor, it doesn't quite work for him. Nathan Williams picked up, I think, the best result out of all of that to finish in 3rd, or to finish that little battle in 3rd place. So it's Oscar Abruzzi in the lead, followed then by Luke Sintler and Nathan Williams. Kyle Felvis, after seeing him down in 7th or 8th place just a few moments ago, is now in 4th, make that 5th, because a big lunge up the inside sends Hayden Gray up into 4th. Bertie Bream, like I said, keep an eye on him. He's already up in towards 6th place, so he's already trying to pick away at that top 6. Harley Connolly sat there not too far away in 7th place. Nathan Jensen in 8th and Leo Bell in 9th at the moment. Olivia Kronoska has unfortunately been demoted down to 11th after, I think, a rather hectic first couple of laps. But Oscar Abruzzese, a second clear of Luke Sintler in the lead of the race. 6 seconds back then is Nathan Williams from Kyle Felbus, who's just about managed to get himself back through and past Hayden Gray, but Hayden much later on the brakes and carves his way back up the inside. They trade places once again. I think now Kyle Felbus has had position secured, definitely so, because Bertie Bream, a late lunge up the inside, means that Hayden Gray has to stick in 5th, but the safety car has been deployed and this race will get slowed down just very briefly to make sure everybody can either safely get back to the pit lane. A couple of cars maybe limping their way back through, but also the field will close up, so Oscar Abruzzese's lead will diminish to nothing. Luke Sintler, his 6-second gap to Nathan Williams will diminish to nothing. So Kyle Felbus, he could be the big winner out of this. Keep an eye on Jordan Taylor as well after contact with the tyre wall, which stopped him pretty much dead going through the final corner. We could see Jordan Taylor now try and carve his way back up through the order and work his way into the top 10, maybe even the top 5, depending on when we get this safety car period closed down. So Scott Thorne managing that pace. You'd imagine he would want to get this race underway as soon as possible and try and make this only a 1-lap safety car. There is Jake Wardle off the back of the pack. He's just catching up once again. You can see the drivers weaving from left to right, desperately trying to keep some temperature in those tyres, and of course maybe a bit of brake dragging as well, trying to keep some tyres in the brakes as well, or keep some temperature in the brakes, pardon me. And then the temperature from the brakes usually starts to sort of dissipate from the brakes, but works its way into the tyres as well. So there's a number of different things that you can do. Whereabouts is the safety car? I'd imagine the safety car is coming in this lap. Unfortunately, yes, I think it's already jumped back to the pit lane. So safety car is in and we will get this race back underway at the moment. Yes, Oscar Abruzzese has gone and 1 second clear already. He's already got that lead back to where he wanted it. Nathan Williams is half a second away, not too far away at all. Kyle Felbus is in 4th place at the moment, still trying to close that gap to Nathan Williams. This is going to be the best opportunity provided to him in terms of getting back on that podium. But looking back at race 1, we know how quick Nathan Williams can be. He was consistently lapping in the 1:24, so we'll see what he can do once this race gets back up to racing speed. So Oscar Abruzzese will make the most of the cars behind battling, meaning that he can slowly start to run away from Luke Sintler and Nathan Williams. Of course, Kyle Felbus has the best seats in the house. Hayden Gray still sat there in 5th place. A brilliant job so far from Hayden. He will try and fend off any attentions from Bertie Bream, who's recovering from a poor result in race 1. Harley Connolly sat there in P7, not too far away. Nathan Jensen and Leo Bell will try and recover from their accidents that they were involved in at the start of the race. Jordan Taylor, what a comeback drive he will need. So he is currently sat 15th, 16th, 15th, 16th, trying to decide as he goes all the way around the outside of Harry Dios. That, of course, opens the door for Matt Guest to pick the pocket of Harry Dios as well. But Jordan Taylor currently sat 15th. He's got a lot of work to do if he wants to work his way back in towards the top 10. There is Nathan Williams, a big lunge up the inside and does indeed work his way through and past Luke Sintler. It is now Kyle Felbus' turn to try and fight back. There's contact between Luke Sintler and Nathan Williams. That kills off any momentum that Nathan Williams has got, so it could mean that Kyle Felbus works his way around the outside. He can't quite find the sort of speed that time through as we work our way through Peel. So for the moment, it remains as it is, but Nathan Snaith finds himself pointing the wrong way, heading in towards Rocket Out. It doesn't quite work for him that time, assuming a little bit of contact and a nudge from behind has spun him the wrong way around. Oscar Abruzzese still leading, and he could be in with a good shout here, because with 12 minutes of the race remaining, but Kyle Felbus will be fighting away with Nathan Williams. We could see these two slowly start to lose each other time, and meaning that Oscar can just remain in front for the moment. We work our way through the banking and then back down pretty much what is the back straight here at Anglesey. We've got the quick right at Church, which you need to be so careful of not to run wide, because you just dip a wheel onto that grass and you'll find yourself pointing the wrong way. But very well negotiated by all of our drivers so far this evening. Kyle Felbus using the curb to his advantage is not quite working the way I think Oscar Abruzzese would want, because he is now falling into the clutches of Nathan Williams. Jordan Taylor, I said keep an eye on him. He's already up into what is 12th place. So Jordan Taylor really starting to carve his way through the order. Kyle Felvers only, what, 3/10 away, and very deep on the brakes went Oscar Abruzzese. That's put the lead back up in the air, but it does mean that everybody closes up, and Kyle Felvers has managed to pick his way up the inside of Nathan Williams. Can he keep the door open this time? No, not quite, but it shows just how close these two are comfortable racing to each other. Of course, they've spent, what, 5.5 rounds absolutely door to door, so it shows that they've got the trust in each other to race that close. Oscar Abruzzese doing what he can to hold on to that lead. Nathan Williams very close indeed. Kyle Felvers there as well. If anything goes wrong, Luke Sintler could pick up another good result in this race. Harley Connolly is up into 5th, so he's trying to follow up a good result in race 1 with a good result in race 2. This time we may see the change of position because Nathan Williams up the inside of Oscar Abruzzese. That will evolve to the outside, or will it? No, he won't. Nathan Williams has already picked his way through and past, and he was clear by the time they got to the braking zone for turn number 2. So Nathan Williams, your new race leader. Oscar Abruzzese sat there in 2nd place. Kyle Felvers is trying to edge his way up the inside, which he does now, into 2nd place. So Nathan Williams leading from Kyle Felvers. Then it's Oscar Abruzzese and Luke Sintler. Harley Connolly 2.5 seconds back. Whereabouts is Jordan Taylor? He's still floating around 12th place, and I think that's all she wrote at the moment, because there's, what, 3 seconds up to Olivia Kronoska. I'd imagine it would have to take some sort of mistake from Olivia and some very quick driving from Jordan Taylor to pick up another couple of places, but don't rule it out. Stranger things have happened at sea in the final, what, 9 3/4 minutes of the race. Late on the brakes goes Albert Henriksen Bell. He tries to cut around the outside of Nathan Jensen. It's not quite going to work for him. Nathan Jensen gets the best of the 2 runs on the exit of Rocket Out as we head back up the hill towards Peel, and edging him towards the white line and even onto the grass there, I think, was Nathan Jensen. Albert Henriksen Bell, I'm sure, won't take too kindly to that one. Leo Bell still not too far away in 10th place. Then we get back to Olivia Kronoska, and Jordan Taylor is closing that gap quite substantially. Luke Sintler has picked the pocket of Oscar Abruzzese, so Luke Sintler into your podium places. There's contact there between Nathan Jensen and Albert Henriksen Bell. So Albert Henriksen Bell into the tyre wall, unfortunately, and it means that Leo Bell has picked up what is 9th place. We have had into the pit lane Oscar Abruzzese. Not 100% sure what for. It was a very quick pit stop indeed, or whether it was an accidental pit stop. He lost the rear of the car and had no choice but to take the pit entry. So Oscar Abruzzese has gone from 4th down to 6th, and he's now trying to fight his way back up into 5th. So it was a very quick pit stop indeed. It was almost like a drive-through penalty there for Oscar Abruzzese, and he's still fighting away with Hayden Gray as we go through the pit, or go down the back straight and then up towards Rocket In. And I'm just hearing, yeah, he crossed the line on pit exit, so he'll have to be careful of that one, just to make sure that he doesn't pick up a penalty if he has to pit in future. You've got to respect the racing rules as you would in real life, not just join the racing surface unsafely. Hayden Gray, he's being edged out there by Bertie Bream. What a move up the inside, carves straight across the front, but that means he washes wide onto the grass, and that will allow Hayden Gray back up alongside. It will be the outside for the entry into the corkscrew. The exit, the position has already been secured. So Bertie Bream up into 6th place from the very back row of the grid, might I add, from Bertie Bream. So too has Kyle Felvers. He's already up into 2nd place. Now, if we have a look at the timings in terms of the last lap through, Kyle Felvers was quicker by, what, 1/2 tenth than Nathan Williams. The gap between them is, what, 1/2 second, so he's got a bit of driving to do with 7.5 minutes of this race remaining. Jordan Taylor, he's only 3/10 away of recovering back up in towards the top 10 at the moment. So Jordan Taylor really on a mission. There is the other HFT racing car, his teammate Kyle Felvers, up there in 2nd place, 2.5 tenths between himself and the lead of the race. It's not quite going to work, I don't think, in a straight line. He will have to do something on the brakes, but maybe not this time. So Kyle Felvers getting closer and closer and closer, and I think just trying to size up where he's going to make that move. He just needs to figure out exactly where Nathan Williams is maybe slightly weaker, or he brakes slightly earlier or takes a wider line in, holding that door open for Kyle. So he'll just be analysing what the car in front is doing and figuring out the exact moment that he needs to strike to get in a good chance of taking the lead of this race. So we go back through the corkscrew once again for the 8th time of asking, and then through the bus stop on towards another lap of the race. Let's see this time who was quicker through. I think Nathan Williams has had a slightly quicker lap. No, he hasn't. He has, yes, he has, pardon me. So Nathan Williams last time through a 124.907, Kyle Felvers a 124.987. So admittedly, still very little to pick between them. Further down the order, Jordan Taylor is in towards the top 10. And last time through, he said a 124. This time it's a 125, so has lost a little bit of time, but has picked up a place. There is Albert Henriksen Bell applying the pressure on towards Hayden Gray, just trying to pick up another place and work his way up into 7th. If they continue to battle, Leo Bell isn't too far away. They can't afford to battle too much because Bertie Bream is just up the road and they won't want to lose any more time than they already have to the car up the road. Still just a little bit of door-to-door contact, bits of trading of paint, but nothing too substantial this time. Through the quick right-hander and then back up the hill towards Rocket Inn. Another scrub of door-to-door. Albert Henriksen Bell on the inside, uses all the curb he can, spots the apex nice and early, and position made for Henriksen Bell. So into 7th place. Hayden Gray already will now have to worry about defence once again because he's got Leo Bell all over his tail. He's just got to size up again where he can defend and where he can afford to take the normal racing line without risking the overtake. Henriksen Bell, having got that position, is already trying to capitalise on the distracted Hayden Gray behind. The lead gap still floating around about 0.3 of a second. Luke Sintler has dropped away back as well. That time through, Kyle Felvers responds with another faster lap. 1 minute 24.797 for Kyle Felvers, 124.871 for Nathan Williams. So the lead gap should in theory be getting closer, but it seems like Kyle Felvers just doesn't have what he wants to throw at Nathan Williams at this point. But still, with 4.5 minutes of the race to go, we could see the dynamic of the race change completely. It could be a small mistake from Nathan Williams and or Kyle Felvers that means that Luke Sintler could be right up with them as well. So don't rule out a complete change up at the top. Luke Sintler is only still, what, 2/10 away, or 2 seconds away, pardon me. Albert Henriksen Bell has already extended that margin over himself and Hayden Gray over a second, so he's really making the most of that one. Whereabouts is Jordan Taylor? He's 3.5 seconds back from Hayden Gray and Leo Bell, who continue to trade places this time. That was as they worked their way through Rocket In and Rocket Out. But Nathan Williams just controlling this race from the front. It seems like Kyle Felvers is slightly quicker through Sector 2. That's where he starts to close up. Sector 3, they're very equally matched. And Nathan Williams, he is definitely running on par through Sector 1, but this time Kyle Felvers much closer on the exit of the final corner, so they cross the line once again. Nathan Williams with a 125.037, Kyle Felvers a 124.827, so 0.2 quicker that time from Kyle Felvers. Is he going to have a look up the inside in towards the banking? Yes, he will. And late on the brakes, keeps that door open. Nathan Williams can potentially jump on the power slightly earlier and maximise the exit as best as possible. It looks like that's what has happened, but if Kyle Felvers can keep his nose in, he might just be able to edge him out as we head through Church Corner. It's not quite worked for him, but now his intentions are known. Nathan Williams will know exactly what Kyle Felvers is going for and exactly where he wants to do it, but there's still just under 3 minutes of the race to go. So the race can still substantially change, but Kyle Felvers, he's giving it one go. He's still got, what, 2, maybe 3 laps to try and pick up another place and work his way into the lead of the race. He's just got to wait for that opportunity to present itself, but he is running out of time. Luke Sintler will be watching on eagerly, I think, hoping for a mistake. Albert Henriksen Bell has managed to pick his way through and past Bertie Bream for what is 6th place. Maybe a mistake from Bertie Bream because he's already lost half a second up to Albert Henriksen Bell. Lewis Stannard in 11th has managed to work his way through and past Olivia Kronoska. So there's still lots of change up and down the order. Harry Dios hasn't been able to recover, I think, as best as he would like. He's down in 15th place and unfortunately is struggling to pick up any further places, but it was quite a substantial hit at the start of race 2. Nathan Williams that time was quicker over the line than Kyle Felvers, so he did extend that margin. Visually you can see that, but Kyle Felvers is doing what he can just to bring that gap down. He got a good run out of turn 2, which meant that the gap closed down as we approach turn 3, and it is continuing just to float around 0.3, 0.2 of a second, so he's getting very marginally closer, and I think getting ready to size up a move in towards Rocket In. He'll have to be much later on the brakes, much later on the brakes, but he's got to find something because this is the penultimate lap of the race. So he's only got, what, 1.5 laps left to try and work his way into the lead. But Guile, he's got to remain level-headed as well and make sure he's got the championship to think about, because there are some fabulous prizes on offer, and he doesn't want to throw one away as a result of a penalty or something like that, or a small mistake. I'm sure he's more than comfortable taking second place and a good haul of points, but first is, of course, that highest points paying position. Through the corkscrew we go once again, on to the final lap of the race in just a few moments time. Kyle Felber's much quicker that time, and he's continuing to close that margin, so he might have another go as we approach turn 2. Is it going to work by the time we get to turn 1? No, there's still too much of a margin between them. He'll have to come from a long way back, will Kyle, to try and get the lead on this lap, unless it's a mistake from Nathan Williams. Luke Sintler hasn't really dropped away as much as I think I thought he would, so he's really starting to pick up the paces, Luke Sintler. Definitely one to watch in the latter stages of this season. Harley Connolly not too far away at all, really, when you think about it in the grand scheme of things. Oscar Abruzzese, having had a trip through the pit lane, is still in 5th place, so it's been a good race from him. Jordan Taylor, he's lost out to Hayden Gray and is back down to 10th place. So Jordan Taylor has got, I think, all that work to do again. They're still side by side by the look of things, but up towards Rocket Inn for the final time go our race leaders. Of course, we've still got a driver of the round to think about as well. We do have our clerk of the course watching on, Craig Charney, so he will have to decide exactly who he wants to give driver of the round to. But in the meantime, we're still trying to decide how the podium will look. Will it be Nathan Williams? Will it be Kyle Felbus on the top step of the podium? But it looks like Nathan Williams has done just enough as we head into the corkscrew for the final time. Kyle Felbus, he has a look. He's not quite close enough this time, but through the final corner for what will be the final time this evening here at Anglesey, the Junior Saloon Car Championship official E-Series Race 2 here at Anglesey goes the way of Nathan Williams. Kyle Felbus crosses the line in a hard-fought 2nd place. Luke Sintler finishes in 3rd. Harley Connolly, a brilliant 4th place, a good haul of points from him this evening. Oscar Abruzzese, even with a trip through the pit lane, finishes in 5th place. Albert Henriksen Bell fought very hard indeed to finish in 6th. Bertie Bream, standout for me in race 2, finished in 7th, followed then by Leo Bell and Jordan Taylor. Hayden Gray rounds out your top 10. Then it's Lewis Stannard, Olivia Kronoska and Nathan Jensen, 11th, 12th and 13th. Jake Wardle crosses the line to finish in 14th, followed then by Harry Dios and Matt Guest, split by very little at the line. Nathan Snaith finishes in 17th, and Ollie Newton, what a rotten night it has been for Ollie. Around to forget. I'm sure he will come towards the line to finish in 18th place. So I think the driver of the round, by the look of things, will go the way of Nathan Williams after a brilliant comeback drive in race 1. He had a brilliant comeback drive in race 2. He managed to pick his way through the order somehow and not only get the win, but get driver of the round as well. So he will have a nice pair of free UK sim racing gloves on the way to him. But we will get the top 3 into the commentary box so we can grab a quick word with them following on from what was quite a busy race 2 here at Anglesey. We'll go in reverse order. Luke Sintler, welcome to the commentary box. Of course, it's been a while since we had a chat to yourself, but it's a good haul of points, and it was a rather chaotic race 2 here at Anglesey, but it meant you sort of got to show your aptitude by carving your way through sort of little incidents and bits like that, and then just manage the pace to the end.
Yeah, I was able to sort of maximise the opportunity when everyone crashed behind me at the start of the race. I managed to get a good start and just sort of keep up the momentum. So when they all crashed behind me, I managed to get in front, which was very lucky, I think. And yeah, after that, I'm just trying to keep it consistent. I wasn't able to replicate the time I thought I'd be able to do, but I'm still happy with a 3rd.
Yeah, and of course, like I say, a good haul of points, especially at the later stages of the championship. Anglesey this evening, coming into the round, was it a circuit you were confident at? Were spirits high coming towards North Wales?
Yeah, I definitely wasn't feeling confident before the race. I hadn't had much practice because it's mock exams at the moment, so yeah, I was kind of just going into it not really knowing where the pace was, to be honest.
Well, you definitely seem to unlock some, so I'm sure that, well, I'm hoping it's a massive motivator for you, especially going into the final couple of rounds after this evening. Before we let you go, anybody you'd like to shout out and say a quick thank you to?
Yeah, I'll thank my dad because he's the one who sort of helps me with all my racing, and he's helping me with the sim racing as well. So yeah, that's who I'd like to thank.
Great stuff. Congratulations, Luke. Brilliant to see you back on the podium, and hopefully this isn't the last time we'll see you up here for the rest of the season.
Thank you.
Cheers, Luke. And joining us in the commentary box again, Kyle Fulvus. We're constantly finding reasons to chat to you. It seemed like you threw everything at that, including the kitchen sink, but it just wasn't supposed to be.
Yeah, definitely. I think Nathan's such a quick driver. I mean, you can't fault it, but at the end of the day, I think it came down to consistency, and I just had that little bit more consistency, which allowed me to stay with him. I think if Nathan had the same consistency, he would have been long gone. His pace was unbelievable. I mean, you know, all the practice he's done, it was great for him.
Yeah, it seemed like as well a busy race all round, picking your way through through incidents and bits like that, and not necessarily something you can practice for. But how did you manage to sort of what was the outlook after that? Because obviously the safety car came out, it completely changed the dynamic of the race. Was it like a full reset and go from there, or were you treating it as sort of two little sprint races, or then just was it all eyes towards the checkered flag and hoping it comes out whilst you're somewhere near the top?
Yeah, definitely. I think the reverse grid, I mean, it is like two races, really. The first part of the race, you've got to just focus on surviving. Obviously, there's lots of incidents. There's 20 cars on the grid, so there's always going to be incidents at the end of the day. So first half is just trying to get through, and then most likely there'll be a safety car, and the second half is just, focusing like you did in race one and go from there.
Great stuff. Well, congratulations on P2, another podium, another good haul of points. After coming into this round, championship leader, I think you've cemented your place at the top of the championship. You're still, of course, under pressure from the drivers heading into the final two rounds. But before I let you go, anybody you'd like to thank or shout out?
Definitely everyone in the YouTube chat, and I've had a lot of support for tonight's round. So yeah, thanks to all of them.
Great stuff. Cheers, Kyle. Always good to have a chat, and we'll see you hopefully next week at Alton Park unless anything changes. But Nathan Williams, welcome to the commentary box. Not only race winner of race 2, but driver of the round as well. You've finally managed to secure yourself a pair of 3M UK sim racing gloves. You're under pressure for a lot of that, and we're trying to keep an eye on the incidents and pick our way through. But talk about picking your way through. At one moment you were 16th, 17th place. Next moment you were 4th. I'm not 100% sure how you did it. It must have been busy behind the wheel.
Yeah, it was very busy. There's a lot of incidents at the start. I think I didn't get the best one out of turn 1, and I dropped back behind Jordan and Kyle. And I think obviously again, going as we went on, the pack was still really bunched up. I think it just allowed for a couple more incidents. So I got a bit lucky. I managed to get past, and yeah, I got to near the front, and then from there I think I was just able to defend from Kyle.
Well, it definitely seemed like a busy job all round. Of course, Anglesey, quite a tricky, challenging circuit, but quite quick as well. We go to a slightly different dynamic of circuit. We head to Alton Park next time out for the penultimate round of the season. Slightly narrower, still quite a quick circuit, but again with a lot of elevation change. Is that a circuit you're confident heading into, or maybe you're going to have to be slightly more perceptive of what's going on around you? Because of course, skinnier circuit means finer margins for error.
Yeah, obviously I think circuit you need to be careful at, but it's my home race, so hopefully I'm going in with high hopes. Hopefully I can take as many wins there as possible, and obviously hopefully close up to Kyle in the championship.
Great stuff. Well, we'll look forward to seeing how that all unfolds in a week's time. Before we let you go, anybody you'd like to thank or shout out?
Thank my family and as well as everybody who's helped organise this.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you very much, Nathan. Congratulations on the win and driver of the round, and we'll see you next week at Alton Park. So it was great to chat with our top 3, and of course our driver of the round there. But as we mentioned earlier on, it's not only, of course, the end of the night where we tend to square away and say thank you to everybody. We do have an announcement here at Perfect Acceleration Sim Racing as of I'm sure I saw it earlier on. It starts the 8th of February. Yeah, so as of the 8th of February, we go back racing once again. So if you've had a look at the Junior Saloon Car Championship official E-Series and maybe you weren't eligible due to age or other reasons, if you fancy sort of a piece of the pie, your opportunity has now come the Perfect Acceleration Sim Racing MX5 Cup, starting, as I say, on the 8th of February, and it runs on Thursday nights. Qualifying starts similar to this one at around about 7:30 UK time. As you can see there, still to be confirmed, but a £300 prize fund, £40 series entry fee. For that, you get 6 rounds of racing, all of which have a 15-minute qualifying, all of which have 2 20-minute races. So you really do get your value for money with that one. So if you are interested in joining the Perfect Acceleration Racing grid, please do head to perfectacceleration.co.uk/MX5 Cup, and you'll be able to get involved and get behind the wheel of one of the PASR Mazdas. But of course, a massive thank you to everybody that's watched along this evening. It's been very much a roller coaster ride here at Anglesey. Of course, a massive thanks to Tom O'Farrell, somehow keeping up with all of the action. I don't know how he does it. Mick Sutton for everything he does at PASR. Scott Thorne, as we saw him very briefly this evening behind the wheel of the safety car, but also the busy job I'm guessing it is herding everybody in as race director at the start of the evening. And of course, Craig Cherney, who's got a busy weekend ahead as the clerk of the course. But of course, final thank you to the sponsors and everybody that makes it happen: Mongrip, Monte Carlo, Pro Sim Rig, and of course the Junior Saloon Car Championship for bringing this all together and allowing us to put on such a fabulous calendar of events. From myself, Jack Werrell, and everybody else here at Perfect Acceleration Sim Racing, we'll see you same time, same place next week for round number 7 at Alton Park. Bye bye.